Hello and welcome to Homeschool MBA, where we talk about different management business administration topics. Thank you for being here. Let's get started. The agenda today is relevant and reliable information in decision making. If you recall, we talked about appropriate frame and creative alternatives, which are key for decision making. Next step in that is relevant and reliable information. I have created a one-page slide that talks about some of the key takeaways for relevant and reliable information. Hello, Professor. How are you doing? Let's talk about relevant and reliable information in decision making.
I'm pretty well, thank you very much. Information is a very important ingredient of smart decision making. Information must be scientific, it must be accurate, it must be sufficiently detailed, and it must be relevant for the decision. Now, when we say relevant information or sufficiently detailed information, we basically mean the management information driven from management informations so that we can take a proper decision. In your slide, you have shown very rightly relevant information helps anticipate the possible outcome. Now, this outcome is of the decision, that what if we take a decision, what will be the outcome? Will that be positive or that be negative for us? Their probability that arise after chosen alternatives. Now, this also tells us that if we select one alternative out of many, what are probable outcomes over there? And then we say reliable information is unbiased and trustworthy. It also means that it is a scientific information. Scientific information means that it is accurate, it is sufficiently detailed, and it has a source from where it has come. So that's how we take it and we link it with the decision process. And that decision process, we come down to the left side of your slide, that is related alternatives. Now, based upon the information that we have in front of us for taking that decision, we develop different alternatives, 2 alternatives, 3, or whatever. And these alternatives are developed by the subject matter experts because they know exactly what, when, where, why, and how. And based upon these alternatives, we take a decision, and that we may refer as decision tree because these alternatives may give us 3 different options, and selecting one out of those 3 options would make our decision smart or otherwise. So that's what we call a decision tree. And from decision tree, that means that from different alternatives we select the best one. And which is the best one? That would be determined by the economic value of that decision. Which one is, let's say, very expensive, the other is not expensive, third one is just average. So that's what we mean, the economic value of the decision. And then ultimately, what we see is that such decisions are taken, are even recommended by subject matter experts. And these subject matter experts, it's a team of experts. It's not one subject matter expert who is sitting and taking the decision. It is people from different departments with different backgrounds, accountants, lawyers, managers, and things like that. They all sit down and then they take a decision. Now, while taking decision, we have to be very, very careful about the decision traps. Then these traps are information overload. too much of information is always bad. Now, like we say, it should be sufficiently detailed, but at the same time, we say that it should not be too much information. It should be relevant and sufficiently detailed. And then ignoring information means that if while taking a decision, if any element of information we ignore for taking that decision, that can make our decision, worse even or bad for that matter. And then assuming future will be like past. Now, this means that if we had taken a decision like this in the past, and now we are taking the same decision, it will have the same outcome or the same possibility. That is wrong, because at that time the situation could have been different, and today the situation is very different. Therefore, these traps, that is information overload, ignoring information, and assuming future will be like past, must be kept in mind while taking decision. Now, at the same time, past is good to learn the lesson from. Information and facts from past and present help translate future judgment. Now, basically, past information is good for us to project the future and translate it in the future, but it's not final. Then decision about uncertain future must be approached in terms of possibilities and probabilities. Now that means, excuse me, the decision, the uncertainty of decision must be put into possibilities and probabilities, that what is possible, what is probable, and how can we avoid that. Once we identify the possibilities and the probabilities, and then we also identify how to grab the possibilities and how to grab the probabilities or avoid them if they are negative one. So that means the possibilities define potential outcomes for future. If it's a positive possibility, then it definitely will help us have a good decision for the future. And if it is negative, it can be otherwise. Similarly, probabilities represent our best judgment of the likelihood of different outcomes. So that's what we say when we talk of possibilities and probabilities. They are of two levels, negative and positive. Positive will lead us to good decision, and negative must be avoided. That's what we say about this information. And then the last but not the least, that is reliable information is unbiased and trustworthy. Now that is what is important. The information must be trustworthy. And these days, we say if the information driven out of, let's say, database, out of management information system, out of decision support systems, that will help us to take a smart decision. And I think that's about all about this decision making.
All right. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Please like and subscribe to all our social media. Thank you.